Representative, there's a mother who says she was gassed during ICE's clash with protesters. And she got a little emotional when she talked about giving CPR to her son. Take a listen.
He was just like lifeless, like he had like foam like around his mouth, and you can he had tears coming out his eyes. I was giving him mouth to mouth, and I remember stopping and I said, I will give you all my breath till you get yours back, because nobody wants to see their kids like that.
Is there anything that has transpired on the streets of Minneapolis or in the Twin Cities that would have made it necessary, as the secretary said, to deploy chemical agents so that that mother had to give CPR to her son? What, is there something transpiring that made this necessary?
Thank you, Simone. Of course not. Killed a 6-month-old baby in our city this week. You know, Sean and Destiny Jackson are a regular family. They were coming home from their 11-year-old's basketball game. They were stopping to pick up Destiny's mom, and a canister of tear gas exploded under their car, deploying their airbags and filling the car with a poison that is banned by the Geneva Convention. And their children, their babies stopped breathing. I mean, I just testimony about this and that there's anything justified. And it's just so ridiculous to hear Secretary Noem say that this isn't happening. I mean, there's video. I've been tear gassed by federal agents 4 or 5 times in the last few weeks, and I certainly haven't been doing anything violent. And so it's just clear that these are lies, this is propaganda. And as you have been discussing in your last segment, it's a pretext for something much larger. You know, Minneapolis is being made an example of. We feel like we're a testing ground for an authoritarian, tyrannical regime on the march. Not only in their kind of tactics, but in testing how much will people tolerate in our country. What kind of a country are we going to accept? Are we going to accept a country where federal agents almost kill a baby, and then they put out a propaganda hit piece on Twitter blaming that mother who had to save her baby using CPR? I mean, it's just, it shocks the conscience. And, you know, that's why we're not protesting in Minneapolis. We are like standing up for democracy. We are standing up for everything for that unfulfilled promise that's at the center of our founding documents. I mean, we're on the front lines, but like, you could be next. Everybody needs to realize we're not special. This could be happening in any American city, and any of us could be the Jackson family.
It could happen in American City. It has happened in so many American cities. It is coming to a city near you. That is the warning from Mayor Frey. And at the same time, Representative, you have the Pentagon readying 1,500 soldiers to possibly deploy to your state. The Insurrection Act, a federal law dating to 1807, permits the president to take control of a state's National Guard forces or deploy active duty troops domestically in response to a, quote, rebellion. Invoking the act would be an extraordinary move and mark the first time a commander-in-chief has done so since President George H.W. Bush called on the military during the Los Angeles riots of 1992 that killed dozens of people and caused widespread destruction. It goes back even further than that, a time when a president has used the Insurrection Act without the approval and consent of a state itself. If it is exactly as you say, sort of a stress test of the entire system, what is happening in your state, how much are Americans willing to accept? The fact that this administration is now readying 1,500 soldiers to potentially deploy to Minnesota, what does that tell you about where we are in that stress test?
It tells me that the lies that this administration have been attempting to propagate, the smear campaign against my constituent, Renee Good, who was murdered in the street, who was extrajudicially executed in the street of our city, that those lies are failing. that they're falling on their face. They thought that they were going to murder our neighbor. And I'll tell you, there are so many videos since Renee Good was killed of DHS agents and ICE agents using her murder to threaten neighbors looking out for each other. Didn't you learn your lesson? Didn't you see what happened 2 days ago? And they want to intimidate us. And they want us to go back in our houses and stay silent and not speak up as our neighbors are disappeared, as people standing up for their constitutional right to observe law enforcement activity are brutalized. And it's not working. All I've seen, I got to tell you, these are like such dark times for our city, for my community in particular. Like I said, I represented Renee Good and her family. And like at the same time that we are in the middle of this just tense and violent, invasion by masked, unidentified secret police, we are also seeing like the truth about us as a city, the truth about us as a country, the truth about human beings, that we exist in relationship with each other. And that when things get heavy, we show up for one another.